Our first speaker this morning is Mike Slattery. Mike's last speech was Making the Grade Part 1. This morning, Mike is going to present Making the Grade Part 2. The beginning of Mike's journey to become a Marine was at the Marine Corps Depot in Parris Island, South Carolina. The training was way more than he expected. The physical and mental discipline to become a Marine were a huge challenge for him. But he had to prove that he could make the grade to be called a Marine. This morning, Mike will be speaking for 7 to 9 minutes about how he made the grade. Please help me welcome Mike Slattery.
Platoon, turn hood, right haste, forward march, right, little, right, little, right, right, little, right, little, right. That is one command that I shall never forget. It's embedded in my brain like the 10 Commandments on the tablet that was given to Moses at Mount Sinai. The difference is I learned mine at Parris Island, South Carolina, not on Mount Sinai. And it proved to me that through the yelling and the intense physical and mental training, that what I was taught, I'll never forget throughout my life. However, I believe that within our platoon, there were a few recruits that didn't get it. They were not the sharpest pencil in the box. For example, after a week and a half of training, with no whatsoever communication to the outside, we were allowed to write our first letter to home or whomever. But it was not a letter that we could write of our own composition. The drill instructors grabbed the blackboard, pulled it out in front of the squad bay, and 100 font had the letter that was to be written to whomever we were writing. It said, "Dear Mom and Dad, aunt or uncle or best friend, I have arrived at Parris Island safely and have not had an opportunity to write. I am writing this letter to let you know that the training is extremely intense and I'm fine. Love, Joe Marine." Now, we were told to write that letter. However, after the word dear, you put the name of the individual you're going to write. And when you're finished, you stand in front of your rack at attention, hold the letter out with an addressed envelope. Drill instructor will come by and pick it up. After everyone was done, the drill instructors came by and picked up all the letters. They went to the front of the squad bay and quietly read each letter. Then all of a sudden, they yelled at 3 separate recruits to come up front. And when they came up front, these 3 recruits were berated beyond belief. And they were hit right in the solar plexus, told to get on the floor, give me 50. Because they were complete idiots and had no clue how to follow orders. You see, these 3 recruits, they wrote the letter verbatim. Dear Mom and Dad, aunt or uncle, love, Joe Marine. And they were going to send that letter home. Well, at that point in time, I realized that the intellectual part of being a Marine didn't take a whole lot. So from that point on, I felt that I was making the grade. And because of that, I was made the platoon guide and gave me the right to carry the platoon guidon, which means it's the flag of the platoon. And that meant that whenever we were doing close order drill, the first person to make the move for the command was the guide. So I felt, again, that I was making the grade. So because of that decision that I made, that this wasn't going to be a whole lot intellectually, I still had the fear if I could make it physically to get through. Blackjack Pershing, General, World War II, World War I, made a statement that said the deadliest weapon in the world is a Marine and his rifle. Now, why did he say that? You see, during the First World War, Germany was about to enter Paris. And the United States had just gotten into the war. And with these 15,000 Marines, they were set up in front of a town called Belleau-Wood, France, where they had to stop the German forces from moving in. And they did so because of their tenacity and their ability as a marksman. The German army could not believe that an individual could fire a weapon and kill at 150 yards, 150 meters. And that's why Blackjack Pershing said the deadliest weapon in the world is a Marine and his rifle. So, on week 14, our platoon went to the rifle range where we were going to learn how to kill the enemy. And the key was the whole process is the NRA's system of scoring how you shoot the rifle. You can become a marksman, a sharpshooter, or an expert. And that means that you have a score of a minimum as a marksman of 280, and the highest score you can get is 350. And within that scoring period, you become a marksman, sharpshooter, or expert. I shot 328. That made me an expert. And that meant that I was the third highest score in my platoon. Once again, I was making the grade. After the rifle range, we were all ready to graduate, which I did on week 16. And I was promoted in boot camp from being a private, what they called private E1, to a private first class, private E2. And I did so because of my outstanding performance while I was in boot camp. The only thing that I felt badly about, and you'll have to go back to my first speech, was that John Graham was not there for my graduation, because I would have told him at that time that I was not a pansy ass. Madam Toastmaster.